Leading off our discussion tonight is House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Mr. Leader. I want to begin with the TSA issue, which seems to be Donald Trump's latest move on this. Is it possible for the Department of Homeland Security to actually fund TSA the way Donald Trump seems to be suggesting they will?
Yes, you know, what's interesting, Lawrence, in that one big ugly bill, which, of course, ripped away Medicaid from at least 14 million Americans and literally took food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans because of the fact that they enacted the largest cut to the supplemental nutritional assistance in American history. They gave $191 billion to DHS. $10 billion of that can be used any way that Donald Trump and the Department of Homeland Security wants. And so over the last 41 days, effectively, Donald Trump has chosen not to pay TSA when ordering Republicans to shut down the Department of Homeland Security. And so he's always had this ability, but clearly he wanted to hold TSA agents and the American people hostage across the country while creating chaos at airports, trying to get Democrats to back away from our position.
So, I mean, you know, I've been trying to make it clear that Senate Democrats have been voting every day to fund TSA. Every day of these long lines, Senate Democrats have been trying to vote to fund it, and Republicans in the Senate have blocked it. Sometimes it's hard to tell out there. People, you know, out there following these things, standing in a line for 4 hours in an airport. Who's to blame for this? It's those people in Washington. Tonight, Donald Trump has just said, it's up to me. I did it, and I can now undo it. In effect, isn't that what we've learned from Donald Trump tonight?
That's exactly what we've seen. And House and Senate Democrats over the last several weeks have repeatedly made clear that we need to reopen every other aspect of the Department of Homeland Security, TSA and FEMA and the Coast Guard and our cybersecurity professionals, every other aspect of the Department of Homeland Security, other than, of course, ICE, which needs to be brought under control. And we've also made clear we are not going to fund Donald Trump's extreme and violent mass deportation machine. But Republicans who control the House, the Senate, and the presidency made the determination that they want to hold TSA agents hostage and force them for weeks now to work without pay when Donald Trump, at any point over the last 41 days, could have made clear that they need to get paid. Thankfully, we've now compelled him to do just that.
So Donald Trump's statements to the Senate were two things. One, don't vote for funding TSA unless the Democrats vote for funding ICE. But also he was telling them, do not vote on anything except the voting legislation that Donald Trump wants that require passports, birth certificates, and other things to vote that we've never needed before, and also hands over every state's voting rolls to Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security, which that does not, as far as we know, have the votes, even the necessary Republican votes in the Senate to pass it. But that's what Donald Trump has been saying the Senate should be doing instead of funding TSA.
Well, that's correct. In fact, as you pointed out, Lawrence, Donald Trump has said, don't do anything. We're dealing with an affordability crisis in the United States of America. We've got this reckless war of choice that we've got to end, that Donald Trump has gotten into. They're spending billions of dollars to drop bombs in the Middle East, but are unwilling to spend a dime to actually make life more affordable for the American people. And then on top of all of that, he's trying to jam the so-called Save America Act down the throats of the American people. This is voter suppression on steroids, and it doesn't have to pass votes to pass the Senate. And of course, in the House was strongly opposed by Democrats, and we will continue to do so. We're going to do everything we need to do to make sure, Lawrence, that there's a free and fair election in November. And when that happens, Democrats are taking back control of the House of Representatives, and Senate Democrats are on a path to do the same thing.
What's your reaction to Donald Trump today in the cabinet room when he's asked about negotiations to end the war that he started, and he says, I don't care? Yeah,
that was an incredible thing for him to say. Effectively, he was saying, I don't really care about the hardship that is being inflicted on the American people. We've seen gas prices are skyrocketing out of control in an environment where people are already struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. Many Americans can't thrive and can barely survive. Donald Trump could care less about it, and he said that in his own words today from the White House. At the same period of time, apparently, he could care less about the fact that thousands of troops are being put into harm's way in this reckless war of choice, and American lives, heroes, patriots, have already lost their lives up until this point, and yet Donald Trump doesn't care.